Harm. I am Supergirl.
Hey guys, I just finished watching Supergirl Season 3, Episode 22, Make It Rain. This episode was interesting. It was a pretty interesting episode. It has an 8.10 here on IMDb. I'd give it around that, more like a 7, so it was pretty cool. Nothing super duper, and it's getting down to the end of the season, so it's getting interesting and stuff. But just nothing out of the ordinary that stands out so far. But it is, like I said, a decent episode. So yeah, I give it a 7.5 to an 8, out of 10. So we start off with this episode. We're continuing with last week's episode with Selena arriving on Earth with the help of Corville, and they're beginning the Dark Kryptonians arrive on Earth, and Corville is helping them out. And then we see that Sam is having some more problems since she was, being affected by by rain again at the end of last episode. And this time, though, she tells Ruby about it. It's no longer keeping her out of the dark, and I like the way she's doing that since Ruby is actually getting older and stuff, and she is actually, I like the way they're doing that, no longer treating her just as a child, and I like that relationship a bit more when they don't just write a child character as their child character in a write-off type thing, and they actually treat him as a proper character and, flesh out the character, because it's so annoying when they kind of do that with different shows. They bring on a child and they don't let the child, like, what's the point of casting an actress like this, an actress, making the character young like this, but not, like, if you really wanted it young so that you never, you didn't have to worry, it would always be like too young of a kid to explain anything to, then just get a 5-year-old, get a 6-year-old, whatever, but having her a little bit older, having her daughter Ruby being a little bit older than that, it's just, use that, take advantage of that, and actually write a character for it. So I'm glad that they're doing that, and they've done that so far in this show with the character, rather than just writing it off as, oh, it's her child in this story, So that's cool. And then we see Alex, when we first see Alex, she's adopting, she's looking again on the computer to adopt the kid. So I could see that she could probably be adopting a kid, or applied to adopt a kid by the end of this season. I could see something going on so that she's maybe not so much in season 4 of Supergirl. I feel like she's going to have to be in there, but I feel like there could be something where she maybe leaves the DEO at the end of this. We'll have to wait and see where things go with all this with Marin. And then we see Marin saying goodbye, so I'm not sure how that's going to go with John. And there could be something change up with the DEO with Alex, because I would hate for her to kind of end this season with, no, that's it, I'm out of the DEO, and she wants to go and raise a family, or raise a daughter, or raise a kid, or raise a child on her own. And the idea of her doing that, like I said, alone is an interesting idea, and it's done different. You've never seen before. I haven't seen before, at least on TV. That I've watched and stuff, but I just also don't want it to kind of just take Alex away from the action, because I think that is where things are going to be. The weak part of the next season is having Alex around, and but having, like, what are we going to see her? Why are we going to see her storyline if she's not, also dealing with stuff? Now, it's going to be cool to see how she deals with that and the DEO. But at the same time, I don't see her, what is she going to do? Adopt the child and then just leave the child in daycare all day while she's dealing with, saving the world with the DEO all the time. So I think that's really going to be interesting to see how that works out with that idea. And I think if she meets someone and actually has a relationship, then she could, they could trade off the idea. And I think that could be an interesting idea to see that, and to seeing the whole, she takes time off to go to adopt the child and all that stuff. And then she's not there to help, stop something, keep National City safe for her child. I think that could be an interesting balance to play with for Alex and stuff. But I really just don't want her to be taken away too much from the DEO to raise a child, because, even if she gets a newborn, she gets an older child, that could be interesting too. If they get a child who's maybe, especially if she's raising it alone and wants to get a child who's, maybe not Ruby's age, that would be probably a bit, I don't see them doing that. Maybe a child who's already, like, 4 or 5 type thing, and is able to walk and all that stuff already, and maybe able to talk a very little bit type thing. That could be an interesting idea, seeing that. But we'll have to wait and see where things go with the Alex and the adoption stuff. It looks like they're building up to doing that. I wish they had kind of built it up a little bit. I mean, they have been building it since last season, obviously, since since what's her face left. I can't think of it there, but since Maggie and her split up and all that. But I think it looks like they're building up to the just having her look at the adoptions online should have been a little bit earlier on. But it's cool the way they build that up with this whole season, with her kind of taking care of and watching over Ruby as Sam is going through the rain stuff. So it is an interesting idea to see where things are going to go with that. And then we also see it later on after that, as she's looking on the computer, Marin stops by and to say goodbye because they're going to do the mind meld where all of his memories get transferred to John, and that's where he's going to be. I guess that kind of, it's unclear if that kind of is going to kill him in doing that, or if that will just make him kind of, he'll have no more memories, he'll have nothing, he'll just be blank inside of there, so he'll still be alive, but he'll be pretty much brain dead because there'll be nothing going on in there type thing. So I think that would be an interesting idea to see really how things are going to go with that, and to see how that ends up, since it kind of gets interrupted later on, to see if that's really going to affect anything with John and how he's going to stay in the DEO going into season 4. I could see him maybe, if things go wrong with his father, how he might want to leave to take some time, but at the same time I could also see him wanting to put things going wrong, and then him wanting to just dive deep into work to get over his over his pain and all that stuff and distract himself with work. So I could see it would be interesting to see where things go with that for John Jones. So and then we see Selena. She left a bomb on Krypton, or on I forget the name of the place, but they left a bomb there, and it ends up injuring Thara, or what's her name, Thara Akbar. So that was cool. That was interesting with that. They had this whole storyline where she left after there, and that she got injured there. And John ends up leaving to take his father's and to do the memory meld and stuff. So he's kind of away most of this episode doing that, and that was quite interesting with that. The Kryptonians arrive at the DEO as Kara is trying to teleport on there. Mon-El and Wynn are trying to work the teleporting machine, which is not mistaken is the same teleporting machine from the first Kevin Smith episode, which was Supergirl Lives, that also had Kevin Smith's daughter, Harley Quinn Smith. So that was probably the same teleporting machine from that. So that was really cool seeing that again, which I think we've seen that thing a few times now. I don't think this episode was directed by her. No, it was Armin V. Volkarin. I can't spell that name. Can't read that name. It's a complicated name. So we see Alex is, Alex ends up getting out some Kryptonian bullets. I guess it's synthetic Kryptonian, synthetic kryptonite from that Lena probably made for the gun and stuff. So that was really cool seeing her with that. And she had some sort of kryptonite in the gloves. I don't understand how that was working. They never really explained that, but it was quite cool seeing that. I think it would have been interesting to see if maybe she just put some kryptonite underneath the gloves and, using it as kind of brass knuckles to punch them. That was really cool seeing that, and the way she played with that. But Alex was in the lab as she was getting thrown around by the Kryptonians, and she's getting thrown around and smashed into the huge metal tables, and they're breaking like they're made out of tin. Clearly they are made out of tin, so obviously she's not getting smashed there, but it looked so fake, and it didn't make sense to me in that whole scene, because at the beginning of the episode they set up Wynn makes the new belt technology, which makes kind of like a force field around him to protect him from Kryptonians, and the Kryptonians is even able to kind of hit him with her heat vision, and it doesn't even do anything. It just launches him across the room, so he's fine. He's able to walk it off, type thing. And that would have made more sense is if Alex had that on her for that, and while the Kryptonian was throwing her all the way around and smashing her into these what are presumably solid steel tables, so that they could they're doing stuff on them. I mean, it looked terrible, because as soon as she hit her weight on the table, the table just kind of crashed down. It looked very silly, because she'd hit the table, get right back up, and then thrown down on another table, and we're supposed to believe that those tables are steel tables. Come on, that was just really kind of it was really terrible the way they did that. And with the solution in the actual episode, it didn't make sense as to why they didn't just kind of give Alex the test too. Why didn't he get one? Why didn't she use one to be able to protect herself from that? I think that would have been It would have been interesting to see that. It would have just also made that scene a little bit more believable, because it looks so super fake doing that. And it was a cool fight scene and everything, but it just took me out of the episode when she gets right back up and not injured whatsoever, not even a bruise or anything, not even limping from getting smashed into the metal tables, and clearly it was fake metal. And then they end up getting the portals working, and everyone goes through: Carl, Supergirl, Mon-El, and Allura. And they did say at the beginning of when they were testing up, when Mon-El and Winn were trying to set up the portal, that it's a one-way trip and it's not really going to work afterwards. And as they go through, it does look like the portal kind of closes down, so hopefully Allura could be stuck here on Earth with Carl, and I think that could be an interesting idea going forward for the show, is having Allura on Earth. Maybe she doesn't staying around National City too much. Maybe she goes and travels the world, so she'll have superpowers too. She'll be able to fly around. It would be cool to see if she goes and meets Clark Kent and meets Kal-El. I doubt that we're going to bring Tyler Hoechlin on just to have him do that and not really have them meet too much, but I think it would be quite interesting to see if she went over to Metropolis. We don't really see that, but she goes over to Metropolis, meets Superman, hangs out with him for a little bit. We get a text, we get maybe a couple of photos or something, or they photoshopped Hoechlin and the two together, and they could look like they hang out and stuff, and they just chatted. Or she could just come back and say, yeah, I met Superman, I met Clark Kent, I met Kal-El, we caught up on all kinds of stuff, and it was really cool hanging out. And I think that would be a really cool idea, so we just get a story from her side whenever we see her next year or something, next season, and seeing that, how they met. And that would be quite cool to see that, and seeing Superman going off to see can't think of the city, Argo City and stuff. That would be quite interesting to see that, because I think he'd be quite interested to see what he thought of that. And also it would be cool to see as to, would he be disappointed that Supergirl didn't tell him at this point? So it would be cool to see that and his opinion on this whole thing at some point if we get to see him back. But it would be quite cool to see that. So it'd be quite interesting to see that, and I definitely need to see an episode with having Erica Durance and Helen Slater on the episode. I think it would be quite cool having the characters meet Linda, Helen Slater and stuff, but I forget what her name was, but Eliza Danvers and Allura Zor-El. It would be cool to see them meet and seeing them hang out and stuff. It would be quite interesting to see that. I had to see how that relationship would go, and how things would be quite interesting to see that. And even don't think we've seen Dean Cain for a while, so getting him also meeting her would be quite cool, and getting their opinion on that. And there's so many questions that they would have as scientists. Would be quite cool to seeing that, and as to how that would go would be quite interesting to see where things would go with that relationship. So hopefully she is stuck on Earth. It looked like she was. They didn't really confirm it. They never said that she was stuck on Earth. So hopefully they say that in the next episode at the end. They confirm whether or not she's stuck there. I mean, they could probably take a ship and go back. But I'd love to see Erica Durance be coming on as a more of a recurring role, kind of like Helen Slater. Although we haven't seen Helen Slater in a long time. It'd be nice to see her more often. But it would be cool to have that have an option to see her around here and there whenever she's available, and just have her pop up every couple of episodes, and just it would be cool to see her around doing that and just hanging out and stuff. So and then later on when we get to see that Deimos ends up getting killed. Deimos was one of the agents that Winn actually gave the belt thing to, but he got hit by like 3 different Kryptonian stuff, and it blasted him. And at first I was watching the episode, and it looked like he got blasted and he fell down, and it's like he got blasted by, I understand he had the protective shield on and stuff, but if it failed, he still got hit by 3 different Kryptonians. There should have been no body left. There should have been nothing. He should have been vaporized. And that's what kind of bothered me with this episode, is a few times characters would get hit by heat vision and they would be fine. Okay, Winn got hit by the one heat vision and he got launched in the room because he had the protective stuff on. Deimos gets hit and he has all 3 on. But as soon as that thing ends up failing because there's 3 on there, at one point it goes and it hits him. There should be not much left, or gaping hole through him, and obviously they're not going to do a gaping hole with blood and seeing bone and all that stuff. That wouldn't make sense. They're not going to do that on TV. But it would have made more sense if there had been nothing left of him, or just a bigger injury than there actually was. It seems like there is only like a very small hole that would make sense if he was hit by maybe one, only one Kryptonian heat vision, and it was a very quick blast. It wasn't a pulse that like they stood there and stared at it for a couple of seconds. It was like maybe just a one shot, the equivalent of a one trigger of a laser gun type thing. That would have made more sense rather than a constant, beam of heat vision. It just didn't make sense there. And then even later on at the end of the episode, Corville gets hit by heat vision, and he's launched across the room, but it doesn't look like there's much mark on his chest. It's heat vision. It should go through him. It should heat up stuff. In the first episode of Supergirl, she heats up the axe, and it ends up blowing up. Or the episodes where with Bizarro, they heat each other, and it kind of blows up. The heat is so powerful. You see, it's so hot. It even comes out blue because it's burning the oxygen there. So it really doesn't understand. I don't get how it looks so powerful in the heat vision, and yet it hits these people in these episodes and there's no mark on it. I understand it's TV and all that stuff, then just have them vaporize. Especially Corville at the end, he didn't have any shield or anything on him, so you could have just made him look like he was vaporized, like a nuclear explosion vaporization where he's gone but there's only a shadow of where he was type thing. That would work. It would totally work on TV because you would just make him disappear. It would be nothing when the special effects wise. You're pretty much just making him disappear and then just be a shadow left. So that would be really easy to do in special effects. It would be quite easy. So I don't know why they don't just do that instead of having the heat vision kind of knock people over. It just doesn't look realistic to me for the heat vision. So hopefully they can change that up in next season. And then we see Rain and the Dark Kryptonians start terraforming the Earth, and that's pretty much where we end the episode. And Marin and John Jones end up stopping their mind meld thing, and they end up Marin wants to shapeshift and merge with the Earth to save the Earth, and John says that it's that would kill him and stuff. But he's like, to protect your home, I will do it. So that'll be cool to see where things go with that and how things are going to end with that storyline. If John doesn't get to do the whole mind meld, that'd be cool to see where things go with that, and how he only got up to his birth, so it's really not, it's history that he kind of his own history, but not really past his father's history. When did his father meet John's mother? I don't know if he knows that story, things like that. I think those would be quite crucial things that he'd want to have, at least the more of his father's life as part of his own memories. Now he's not going to get them, so that'd be cool to see where things go for that, and how things are going to play into the next episode there. So it looks pretty cool to see where things go in the next episode. Seeing them all fight the Dark Kryptonians and stuff, that'd be quite cool to see that, and to see where things go. Hopefully there could be some big stakes going into season 4. I'd almost like to see maybe Mon-El bite the dust, because I don't know if I'd really want to see that whole relationship with him and Supergirl last the whole next season, because we've already played with this relationship again, and retreading it's kind of getting a little annoying. So hopefully maybe by the end of next episode we could see Mon-El go back to 31st century. I think that would be the perfect thing, is have him go back and have him stay there, and then if you ever want to have him come back, he can come back in time again later on in the future, which we still have to get the answers to how Superman has a Legionnaire ring in the Fortress of Solitude. No one has answered that question yet. We saw that actually over in The Flash when he was running through, and back in season 1. We saw that also in Supergirl when her and Jimmy Olsen went to the Fortress of Solitude in the first season, if I'm not mistaken. So we still have to get answers as to where that ring came from. Is it from Mon-El? Is it from someone else? Is it from way farther in the future, from before Mon-El even got to the future? That would be quite cool to see that. Have these versions of Brainiac 5 and Stargirl that we met before, where they're the ones, have they met Superman yet? Are they going to meet him? Where does that happen? That would be cool to get some answers to that there. Or does Mon-El even know about that? Supergirl knows about it, so hopefully she can remember about it, and James should know about it too. If I'm not mistaken, they didn't see it, unless there was something that only the camera just glimpses by, and maybe Supergirl doesn't realize, didn't see it there. But it would be cool to get some answers just to that. I don't think we will at this point. I feel like we would have got it, but we'll have to wait and see if we get answers to that Legionnaire ring in the Fortress of Solitude by the end of this season. Fingers crossed. So let me know what you think, guys, about this episode in the comments below. Where do you think things are going for the last episode, and where do you think things are going to go for season 4? And what do you think about Alex having a kid, and how do you think things are going to go with her dealing with having, adopting a kid alone or not alone? And looks like it will be alone at this point. But raising a kid, how is that going to interfere with her DEO stuff? And I hope it doesn't interfere too much with that, because I like having her around and having her being a part of the action. Just watching her raise a child is okay, but that's not why I'm watching Supergirl. I'm not watching a Supergirl to watch her sister raise a child. I want to see her part of the action, so we'll have to wait and see where things go with her. So let me know what you think, guys, about that in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes
Subscribing
is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.